Hello and welcome back to App Development. How's everybody doing? All right, so the big shift that we're going to make in the second half of the class is we're going to start looking at database storage on the phones. So, what exactly does that mean? So far, every app that we have made sort of lacks a memory. All right, when you shut down that app and start it back up, it has no idea what you did the last time you opened it. It has no idea what options you picked. It has no idea what your high score was. It remembers nothing. All right. So, what we're going to focus on in the second half of the course is how we can have the app remember things. And we're going to start with just remembering things on the phone. And then we're going to progress to remembering things on the web so that the app can actually communicate with different users theoretically all around the globe. All right. So the file that I have open here is a little database manager. All right. And this is going to give us a chance to just walk through the different things that you can do with a database inside of MIT App Inventor. You are welcome to follow along. I'm going to attach the file to Classroom, and you can just import that into your App Inventor and follow along with what I'm doing here. Or you can just watch and take note and just kind of see how things work. I'm going to leave that up to you. But here's the emulator. Here's the little app that I have open. We're going to learn how to add things to the database. We're going to learn how to search for things in the database. We're going to learn just how to list things out. We're going to learn how to edit things. We're going to learn how to delete things. And then if we want to clear everything out all at once, there's a way to do that as well. All right. So first things first, when you're building an app that uses the database, you're going to need to get the TinyDB element. All right. And that's over here in the storage menu. So there's TinyWebDB, TinyDB. Right now, we're just starting with TinyDB. And you'll notice that if you click through the different screens of this app, every single one of them has this TinyDB1 because there's only one database per app. So you just put it on any screen that you might want to have on your app, and then they all have access to this one database. You don't have multiple databases for a single app. Each app gets a single database. The other thing we're going to use in this is the little notifier. And that's just going to let us put like little messages up on the screen. What we're going to see is that when you add things to the database, the user doesn't really know it was successful unless you let them know. So we're going to use this notifier just to put little messages up on the screen so that the user can be aware that things are happening. Okay, so that's the plan for today. Again, we'll go through these one by one, and you'll just kind of see how they all work. All right, so first thing we're going to do is talk about how to add things to the database. So I'm going to go over to my Add Task screen. All right, so I'm going to give the emulator a chance to do that. All right, and what you're going to see here is a box that says enter the task name and then enter the task notes. So the first thing to know about the database is that it is divided up into what are called tags and data. All right. And you can almost think of it like a dictionary or a phone book or an encyclopedia. The tag is what you're looking up. So it's the name of what you're looking up. And then the data is the information about that thing that you just looked up. So, in a dictionary, you look up the word, but you're looking up the word to see the definition. In a phone book, you're looking up somebody's name, but you're looking it up so that you can see their phone number. Same thing with an encyclopedia. You look up the topic, but then you're interested in all the information they have about the topic. So same idea here. It's divided up into tags, which is what you're trying to look up, and then the information that you're going to store about that tag. All right. So in this window, all we have are two text boxes, all right, so that people can type things in. Let me go over the design view really quick. So we've got some labels. We've got some text boxes so that people can type things in. we've got a button that says add task, and then we've got a button that brings us back to the home page. And again, you'll notice the notifier and the TinyDB are in there. All right. So to add something to our database, it's very simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to add. I'm going to get my when I click on the add button. And then I'm going to go down here to TinyDB1. And I'm going to see that there's a purple block called store value. All right. And store value wants to know the tag. And then it wants to know the data that's being stored. All right. So for the tag, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this text window and I'm going to get uppercase. So I'm just going to always make the tag all uppercase. So that's what that's going to do. And then I'm just going to put whatever they typed into that name box. So I'm going to get the light green box that says text. And then I'm also going to get whatever they typed into the note box. All right. So this is going to take whatever name they give it. It's going to take whatever value they give it, and it's going to store it. Now, again, this is going to happen, but the user's not going to know that it happened, and that's where the notifier comes in. So I'm going to go down to this notifier, and I'm going to get show message dialog. And I have to give it a message, a title, and then a button text. So I'm just going to put text in here that says task added to database. I'm just going to abbreviate that DB. The title I'm going to just put as add task status. And again, none of this really matters. It's just the message that pops up on the screen. And then my button text I'm just going to put as close. And then the last thing I'm going to do, and it's a good habit to get in this whenever you're having text boxes, is if you go to one of the text boxes, there's a purple block that says hide keyboard, and that'll just make the keyboard disappear on the phone. You'll notice that I already did that over here for the home button. That way, if the keyboard is open, it just closes the keyboard so that it's not sort of in the way. All right, and that's all we need to do to add things to our database. So if I go up to the emulator here and I say, all right, task, we'll say Tuesday. All right, so my task on Tuesday. And I don't need to type it in all uppercase because the program will convert it anyways. But I could say that my task for Tuesday is app development homework. Right, and I can click add task. I'll get a little message that said it was added to the database. And I can click close. And then maybe I've got another one, and I'm going to put this one in for Wednesday. And then on this one, I'm going to say my task for Wednesday is to relax. And again, I'm going to add that. And then maybe I'll put another task in for Thursday. And I'll put in more relaxing. All right. So I now have 3 things saved in my database. There are 3 tags, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then each of those tags has some data that goes along with it. All right, so adding things, very simple. It's really just that purple block that says store value. All right, so let's go back home. And now that we've added things, I want to prove to you that they're actually in my database. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the list tasks. That way you can actually see that they are in the database. So I'm going to go to list tasks. And if we go to the designer view, you're going to see that this has a button that says done. It has a list viewer. It has the notifier, and it has the TinyDB. The list viewer is going to just allow us, it's sort of something that like grows dynamically. So if we have 10 things in our database, it'll allow us to view 10 things. If there's 7 things in our database, it'll allow us to view 7 things. It's just a list that's going to shrink and grow based on how much is in our database. And again, that's over in the user interface menu right there, list view. So that's where that came from. All right, so what we're going to do is when this page loads, we're just going to have it display everything that we need. All right, so I'm going to go to list tasks here. All right, and I'm going to get when list tasks initializes, so when the screen loads. All right, and then I'm going to make a couple of local variables. All right, so I'm going to go over here and I'm going to initialize a local variable, and I'm going to call it tag list. So that's going to be the list of all the tags in my database. Then I'm going to click on this gear, and I'm going to get a second one, and I'm going to call this item list. All right, so that's going to be like all of the data that's actually in my database. All right. Now, the tag list, I'm going to go to TinyDB and get this purple block called get tags. So that's going to get all of the tags that are in my database. And this initial local, oops, instead of X, I'm going to call that item list. All right. This second local variable, I'm just going to make an empty list. All right. Create an empty list. All right. So tag list is going to have all of the tags in my database, and then item list is going to have nothing in it for right now. What we're going to do next is we're going to get a for loop, and we're going to get that for each item in list, which we've used before. And the list that we're going to go through is the tag list. So I'm going to hover over this. I'm going to get a tag list, which means I'm going to go through each of the tags in my database. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look up the data that's in there. So I'm going to get the tags, and then I'm going to look up the data, and I'm going to add them to my item list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this blue one. I'm going to get add items to list. All right, the list that I'm going to add them to is the item list. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to list the tag. So I'm going to go to this text. I'm going to get a join. I'm going to add another piece to it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to join the name of the tag. So that's this item block. Then for formatting purposes, I'm just going to put a colon and a space. Right, so that's going to show the name of the tag, a colon, and a space. And then to actually look up the item, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to, where am I going to go? Oh, I'm going to go to TinyDB, and I'm going to use this get value block. All right, so this is how we actually look up the data, and it just wants to know what tag you're looking up. So the tag we're looking up is whatever tag we're on in our for loop. So I'm going to go again up to that for item, and this is just going to look at that tag, and then the value, if it's not there, is just going to be missing. All right. So what's happening here is we're looking up all the tags, then we're going through them each one by one. That's what this for loop does. It's looking up the value, and then it's putting it into a list. And then the last step is just going to be to go to this list viewer, and we're going to set list view elements to that item list that we just made. All right, now for this to work, it's got to be inside of those local variables. So we're going to set list view elements to the item list. All right, so we're making this whole list with everything in it, and then we're setting the list viewer to have all of those items. All right, so to show you that this works, let's go back to our emulator here. I'm going to click done. That's going to bring us back to the home screen. And now when I click on list this time, all right, when the screen loads, all of this code is going to run. And what you're going to see is there is the different stuff that has been stored in my database. So there's Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday. and so on and so forth. That's the different information that's been put into my database. And you're noticing that it's automatically just putting them in alphabetical order. That's why Thursday is showing up before Tuesday, and Wednesday is showing up after Thursday and Tuesday. Okay. All right. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually be using this page a lot to like pick things from our list. So this list, we can actually select different things from this list. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and go to our list viewer, and this has an event that says after picking. All right, so after somebody picks. And what we're going to do is we're going to create, again, a local variable. All right, so we're going to create another local variable here. All right, and again, we're going to click on that gear so that we can get two of them. And the first one is just going to be what we selected. And the second one is going to be the tag. All right, so we've got selected and tag there. Now, selected is going to be whatever they picked. So to get that, we're going to go to list view. We're going to go to selection, and that's going to be what they picked. The tag for right now, we're just going to make blank. And then what we're going to do is inside of there, we're going to say set tag. And that's where this little code comes in over here. And it's not really important that you understand all of this code, but basically what it's doing is when we made the list, we joined together the tag and the data. This code right here is just stripping away the data so that all we're getting is the tag. Because when we're looking things up, really we need to know the tag. That's how we're looking things up. So this code will just go through and take away the data so that it's just the tag again. And then what we're going to do is we're going to close this screen, all right, with the result get tag. All right, so what you're going to see, and this is going to make more sense in a little bit, but when we do some of the other screens, we're going to use this screen to help us delete things. We're going to use this screen to help us edit things. So this is going to send back what we want to delete or what we want to edit or whatever we're doing there. All right. So with that said, all right, let's go back here. Let's click done. And we'll move on to the delete button. All right, so this will be, we've added things to it. Now we can see if we want to delete things from our database. All right, so I'm going to go to delete a task. All right, and you're going to see that I've got select an item to delete, label description, and then delete and home. All right, so this select an item to delete is actually just going to bring us to that page we just set up. So instead of us having like to redo that code on every page, we're just, anytime we want to pick something, we're just going to go back to that page. So the first thing we can do is say when they click on the select button, all we're really going to do is go back to that screen that we just worked on. So we can just say open another screen with screen name, and the screen name for that was list tasks. So all we're doing when we want to select something is actually going back to that screen that we just did. Now, after they pick something, it's going to send us back to this screen, and we're going to use the when other screen closed. All right, so once they've picked something and closed that screen, we get sent back here, and we're going to know what they picked. And the way we're going to know what they picked is we're going to use that value they sent back. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a global variable, and we're going to call this tag. And at the start, it's just going to be empty. All right, so we can just put empty quotes in there. But after they pick something, we're going to send that name back. And what we're going to say is set tag to whatever they sent back, which is this little result here. All right, they sent back a result. All right, whatever that result was, we're just saving in this. So that's going to be the name of what they want to delete. Right. Then what we're going to do is we're going to show them what they are trying to delete. So we're going to set label 1's text to the result, because that'll be the name of what they wanted to delete. And then we're going to set label 2's text to the data. So again, if we want the data, we have to use get value. And again, the tag is that result that they sent back. All right, so you can either use get result again, or we can use our variable tag that we made. Either one of those will work. So I can say get tag. Oops, that's not working. Oh, there it is. I got to hover up over here. Get tag and search that way. And again, it shouldn't be missing, but if for some reason it was missing, we can just go in there. And then last but not least, the actual delete button. All right, so we can say when they click the delete button, we're just going to our TinyDB. We're getting this purple block that says clear tag. All right, and we just have to tell it which tag we want to clear, which again, we saved in that get global tag variable. All right, so that'll know what we want to delete. And then after we've deleted it, we can close the screen. We also could put up a message. We could give them a little alert that it's been deleted. But in this case, we're just going to close the screen. So now that that's all set up, if I click on select an item to delete, it's going to bring us over to that page that we just made. All right, takes a second. It's going to show me these different options. So let's say I picked Tuesday because all I want to do is relax. All right. Once I pick that, it sends me back to the delete screen. It sends that information with it. It says, all right, this is the one that you picked. And then if I click delete, it's actually going to delete it from my database so that it's no longer there. And it's going to bring me back to the home screen because that's what I told it to do. All right, and it takes a second because it's the emulator, but it's there. And then if I go to list tasks, just to prove to you that it's actually gone, you're going to see that it only lists the 2 of them now. Okay. All right, so we can click done because I not actually need to pick anything here. And let's do edit because edit's very, very similar to what we just did. All right. So we'll head over here to edit a task. All right. So you'll notice that the edit screen looks very similar. There's a select item to edit, which again, we're just going to open that page that we already created. There's a place where it's going to show the tag. And then the only difference is instead of showing the description as a label, it's going to put the description in a text box so that we can change it and then resave it and so on and so forth. All right. So if we're going through here, all right, the first part is exactly the same. All right. If they click on the select button, we just want to open that same screen that we opened before. So open another screen name, and it's the same exact screen name. It's list tasks, just like it was before. Whoops, would help if I spelled it right. Asks, all right. And then just like before, we're going to set up one of those when other screen closed. So this is what's going to happen after they pick what they wanted. All right, and this is going to look exactly like the other page. All right, we're going to create a variable called tag. We're going to start it off as empty. All right, When the other screen closes, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set tag to be the result that they got back. All right, we're going to set the text of our tag. All right, so the tag text, we're going to set that to, again, the result that got back. That's just going to be the name of what it is there. And then the only difference is, instead of changing a text label, all right, we're changing the text box here. All right, so this is the box where they can actually type things in. All right, but we're going to set the text of that to the actual data. So to get the actual data, we have to use the purple get value. The tag that we're looking up is whatever one got sent back. And again, it shouldn't be missing the way that we have it set up, but we can just put missing or not found or whatever you want to have in there. That's just sort of like to protect you in case something goes wrong. All right, so this is pretty much exactly the way that we did it before. The only difference is now, instead of deleting, we're going to edit. All right, so edit is when they actually click on the save button. All right, so here's my save button. And all I'm going to really do is delete and then restore. So when I do the edit here, what I'm really doing is I'm going to TinyDB. I'm clearing out whatever they picked. And then I'm going back to TinyDB and I'm storing whatever they typed in to replace it. All right, so that's just going to be whatever they typed into the edit box, the text. So that would be the light green box here. So I'm really just deleting and then resaving. And then again, it is always a good habit to hide the keyboard after they've typed something in. And then we can close the screen. All right, and you'll notice the cancel button just closes the screen without doing anything. All right, so very similar to the delete. It's just we're deleting and then adding all at once. All right, so let me show this right here. We'll cancel without saving. Actually, I didn't need to do that. I could have just hit the list task button. Bad choice on my part. All right, that's all right. So let's go to edit a task. It's going to bring us back to that screen. All right, if I choose to select an item, it's going to bring us to that screen that we already made. Wait for it. Wait for it. All right, maybe I want to edit Wednesday. All right, so I choose Wednesday. It's going to bring me back. It's now going to know that I chose Wednesday, or I chose Wednesday. All right, it tells me that I'm editing Wednesday. This is this, but I can now go in and say relax and stuff. All right, I can say that I'm done editing, and then it's going to make that change to my database. All right, and how do I know that I made the change to the database? Well, I can always go to my list tasks and view it, and you're going to see that it has, in fact, made that change. Now, I haven't really said this yet, but the important thing is that this stuff that I'm saving is going to be there even if I close the app. So if I were to close the app and reopen it, all of this stuff that I'm saving in there is still going to be there. All right. It's not like I'm doing this and then I close the app and it's all gone. The whole point of the database is that it's there even after you exit out. All right. So there it is. It says relax and stuff, and we're done. All right. So we've got two things left. We've got the search and we've got the clear all. All right, why don't we just do the clear all now, because that one's pretty quick and we're on the page to do the clear all now. All right, so the clear all tasks, is right here. And there is a block that clears everything all at once. But clearing everything all at once is kind of a big decision. So we usually don't want to just like automatically let them do that. So this is another place where we can take advantage of the notifier. So if we go to the notifier, there's a purple block that says show choose dialog. All right, so I'm going to put this in there. And it has a bunch of different things that it wants. So it wants a message. So the message that I'm going to put in there is, are you sure you want to delete everything? All right. And then it needs a title. And the title I'll just say is the confirmation screen. Right. And then it's got two buttons. So I'm going to put yes. And I'm going to put no. And then cancelable is whether or not you want a cancel button to show up. So true would make the cancel button show up. False would make the cancel button not show up. So I'm going to keep it true. So there's also a cancel button. I mean, no and cancel are kind of the same, but I'm going to keep them both anyways. And then if I go back to the notifier, you're going to see there's an event that says after choosing. All right. And this event is going to trigger once they click on one of these two buttons. And this event knows what they picked. All right. It's stored inside of this choice variable. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have an if statement that says if choice equals yes, right? That means I do want to delete everything. Then I can go to this TinyDB, and there is a block that just says clear all, and that'll delete out the entire database. All right, so I don't need anything else for no, because if they pick no, I don't have to do anything. But this is just to sort of protect it so that people don't accidentally delete everything. So if I click on this, I get this little confirmation screen. There's the yes, there's the no, there's the cancel. As long as I hit no or cancel, nothing is going to happen. If I were to hit yes, then it would actually clear out my database, which I don't really want at this point. All right. So that brings us to the final piece for today, and that's going to be the search button. So I'm going to go to search by content. All right. And what you're going to see is there's a label here that says search by task description. There's a search for blocks where I can type in what I'm searching for. And then there's a search button and there's a done button. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn how we can kind of search through what's in our database. So I'm going to say when they click on search. So I'm going to go to my search button here. And I'm going to say when they click on it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get a whole bunch of local variables. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say initialize local, and I'm going to click on the gear and get 1, 2, 3. All right. The first one is going to be called tag list. Right, so that should be familiar. We've done this before. The next one is going to be called item list. Okay. And the third one is going to be called value. Right. Value. Right. So tag list, just like before, is going to be set to this purple block, get tags. That's just going to have all of the tags in it. Item list, just like before, is going to start off as an empty list. And value, this is our new one, but this is just going to start off as empty quotes. All right, so far, very similar to what we were doing. All right, next, what we're going to do is we're going to get that for loop that we got before. All right, we're going to keep using this a lot with this, and we're going to say for each item in list, and that list is going to be our tag list. So we're going to go through every single tag in our database. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to look up the data. So we're going to say set value. All right, that's that empty variable that we have right now. And we're going to set it to the data of whatever tag we're looking at. So remember, we're going to go through the tags one by one, and then we're going to look up the data. So we'll say get value. The tag that we're looking up is whatever item we're on inside of our loop. And again, we can put the word missing in here just in case, but it really shouldn't apply to the way we're doing this here. So this is going to save the data inside of the value here. All right. Now for our search, this is where we're going to set up an if statement. And we're going to say if, and then we're going to use a text block called contains text. All right. So the text is what we just looked up. So that's our value variable. All right. That's going to be the text that we're looking for. And what we want to see is, does it contain what they typed in the search box? So if we go to our search box and we looked at this text, all right, it's going to say, all right, here's the entry. Does it contain what the person typed in the box? And if it does, we're going to add it to our list. All right, so we're going to get this add list item. So it's kind of like what we were doing before, but instead of adding everything to the list, we're only adding it if it contains the text. So we're adding it to the item list. So we can do get item list. Oops. Get item list. And then what we're adding, we're going to do the same join that we did before. All right, so it's going to need the 3 pieces. And the first part of the join is just going to be the tag name. All right, which is our item block. Then for formatting purposes, I'm just going to put a colon and a space. All right, there's my colon and the space. And then it's going to be the data that actually goes with that, which we've already saved in our value variable. All right, so we can just use our value variable there because that already has it. All right, so this is going to do that. And then once this for loop is done, it will have all of the things that contained our search item. So we're going to set our list viewer elements, just like we did before. We're going to set our list viewer elements. Where is it? Elements. There it is. After the loop. All right, so after the loop is finished, we're going to set those list viewer elements to this new list that we just created, which was called item list. So we're going to get item list. That's going to fill in everything that we found. And then again, it's just good practice to hide the keyboard so that it doesn't get in the way. All right. So if we go back to our thing here, all right, and I say, let me search for the word stuff. And I click search, Wednesday is going to pop up because the word stuff was there. All right, if I search for the word relax, all right, I'm going to get both of those because relax is here and relax is here. If I search for the word homework, all right, I'm going to get nothing because nowhere in my database do I have homework. All right, so again, just a way that you can use search. It's very similar to kind of how we created our list. We just added this if statement here that kind of limits what we're adding to our list. All right, and then we can click done. All right, so that kind of walks you through most of the main features of a database. All right, we saw how we could add things. We saw how we could delete things. We saw how we could edit things, which was really just deleting and then adding. We saw searching things. And then we saw how to kind of list and look at everything in the database. So we're not going to do a lab today, all right? I'll save that for later this week. But this just gives you an introduction to the database and how it works. And going forward, pretty much every lab that we do will involve some sort of database. So this is kind of just a nice introduction to sort of get you started on the whole process. All right, so I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, make sure you email me. And then again, we'll pick up with our first lab on Thursday.